Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how I prepare my delicious Afang soup when there are no water leaves available. Keep watching. The ingredients I use for the preparation of this soup are cut ukazi leaves, also known as Afang, dry fish, crayfish, chili pepper, prawns, palm oil, spices or seasoning cubes as preferred, salt, and finally my goat meat and stockfish, which I had already cooked in my instant pot. I cooked my goat meat and stockfish with onions, pepper, salt, and spices, and the spice I use is the garlic and herb spice by Dash, which is usually sold at Walmart or any of the grocery stores. For some time now, we've decided to cut down on our consumption of MSG, so we decided not to be using the seasoning cubes, the regular seasoning cubes. After the meat is nicely cooked, the first step I do is to put my dry fish in a bowl, put some hot boiled water inside the bowl, add some salt. This is to help cleanse out the excess oil and the dirt in the dry fish as it is being sold in the market. I wash the fish, I debone it, and make sure it's nicely cleaned. Then I transfer it into a smaller bowl. The next step I take is to pour some cold water, some running water from the tap into the bowl of ukazi, the bowl that has the afang leaves. I pour this water to kind of soften the leaves to make it fresh since it's been dry for a while. Then I leave it inside the water for a while. After that, I bring out the spinach. The spinach leaves would be serving as a substitute for the water leaves that we don't have available. I cut the spinach leaves as tiny as I can. It's still okay if you don't want to cut it so tiny. I cut it properly and transfer into a bowl. Then I set my clean pot on the stove and turn on the stove. I transfer my boiled meat into the pot. The pot doesn't have to be dry. It could be dry or it could be just cleanly washed. I transfer my meat stock into the pot with the meat and allow it to boil. As it's boiling, I add my already washed dry fish inside the meat and allow it to boil for like 2-3 minutes. While boiling that, I open my blender, put the ukazi leaves that I've already drained with my sieve, put it in the blender and blend it into a coarse mixture. I don't blend it finely into a pulp, but I try to blend it as coarse as possible. After blending that, I pour it into a bowl. While my meat has boiled, I put some palm oil inside the boiling meat. Then I add my cut spinach inside the boiling meat. I also add some crayfish. I add my prawns. I use the same blender that I used for blending my ukazi to blend the prawn. I add the prawn, I add the crayfish, I add some salt, I add some pepper. Then I add the spices I mentioned earlier, the Dash garlic and herb spice. I try not to add too much pepper as I have little kids eating this food with me, and previously I've added some pepper while cooking my meat. One thing to remember when cooking your meat is to not use too much water, because ukazi or afang soup doesn't really need much water and you don't want it looking too watery when you cook it. So when you're cooking your meat, you try not to cook it with so much water. You try to cook it with as little water as possible, as this soup requires to be thick. But if this happens, there's still a remedy for it. Keep watching. After I've added all this, I cover the pot and allow it to boil for another 2 minutes. Then I open the pot and transfer my already blended afang or ukazi into the pot. Then I stir and cover for another 2 minutes. At this point, the soup is almost ready. You can check if you need extra oil, because afang soup usually absorbs a lot of palm oil. You might want to add a little more oil to your soup, or you might choose to leave it the way it is. but I decided to add a little more to make it look nice and also taste better. I added some more, then I covered it for a while. At this point you can see the soup is thick enough, but I decided to add a little more water to it to show you what it looks when the soup is kind of watery and what you can do to remedy this. So when you notice your soup is not as thick as you want it, or as thick as the afang you've seen on TV or you've gone to eat in the restaurant is, what I usually do is to blend a little more afang and put inside my already cooked soup, then allow it to simmer for a while. If I don't want to do this, another step I do, which is what I'll be doing today, is to add some thickener, soup thickener. There's a soup thickener we call the achi or the ofo, but today I'll be using blended ofo soup thickener, which is what the Igbos usually use. So I added 2 spoons of ofo soup thickener into my soup and turned it and covered it and allowed it to simmer for 2 minutes, after which my soup was thick enough. It's still going to get thicker than this when you allow it to cool down, so I decided to bring it down so my meat doesn't change color and so that my soup is still fresh. This is my nicely made afang soup. It's so delicious. My husband and my kids enjoy it. I hope you would be trying this. Let me know if you'll be trying.